This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
This is Monster My Podcast.
And these are the Proto-Shoggoths.
There's a monster in my podcast.
And please use this absurd observations photo for this.
I don't know if this is supposed to be... So we skipped over the Shoggoth Lord, right? The Shoggoths that can mimic humans, because we talked about that a lot in Mr. Shiny. Mr. Shiny is a Shoggoth Lord. I think this image is supposed to go with the Shoggoth Lord. I
know, yeah, but like... Okay, it's just really good though.
It's okay. I'll do it.
Spilled his whole stomach full of he's walking along and he accidentally spilled his stomach.
Yeah, everything about this guy except for his face says "whoops," and his face says, "Look what I made."
He's just real in a very funny way, with his circle mouth and his weird he looks like his face is like they took one of those blowjob dolls, those inflatable blowjob dolls.
Yeah.
And put it onto this fat man's face who's spilling his guts everywhere. It's a really good drawing. Good work, Lasco brothers. So the Proto-Shoggoths, I don't know what these I know what they're from because it says it right here.
Right.
But I've never heard of them before. I don't know how they're really used. It says they're in the Mountains of Madness. I don't really remember them.
They're just mentioned offhand, right? Yes.
A little side thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that all this game information probably came from a later either source book or another author.
Yeah. Well, so the name is misleading, right? Because you hear Proto-Shoggoth and you think this is like an antediluvian, like a run up, a run up to whatever the Shoggoth would be. No, this is actually an amalgamation of flesh that is distinctly and recognizably of human provenance. And doesn't seem to be related to actual Shoggoths, except insofar as it is a writhing blob that can take any number of shapes.
But they're constrained by humanness.
Yes.
They can grow arms, they can grow fingernails, joints, things like that.
Yes.
Pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I mean it's covered with nipples, navels. There are ridges where muscle or bone are sticking up, eyes or human orifices, sometimes wounds that seem never to heal.
Yeah, pretty disgusting creatures.
Yeah.
And the detail of the entry, the very best thing about this, right? So it doesn't tell us anything about how they become this.
Uh-huh.
But they retain most of the skills they had as humans. So, hold up. Wait a minute,
You can't just teach me to code. I've been a coal miner all my life. I don't care if I'm part of an unholy amalgamation.
Yeah. My family's been coal miners. I'm not going to stop becoming a coal miner just because I'm a Proto-Shoggoth now. How did I become a Proto-Shoggoth? Never mind that. I'm going to mine coal. I've always been a social media manager for Riot Games, and I'm not going to stop.
Fuck, man. Brought to you by our backers at patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.